Entry 5. It's getting late. I don't mean evening. I mean the part of the day where things stop resetting, where you realize the light isn't doing its job anymore. I noticed it first in the hallway. The sunlight coming through the front window didn't reach the far wall the way it had this morning. Not because it was dimmer, because it stopped short, like it ran out of permission. I don't want to be here when it happens again. I decided to leave at 4:12 p.m. I checked the time twice because I wanted to be sure I remembered it correctly later. I told myself that if I left early, if I didn't wait for night, then whatever rules I was following would still count. I didn't rush. I didn't grab anything. I didn't say anything out loud. I put my hand on the front door and turned the knob. The latch moved. I heard it, felt it. The door stayed where it was. I leaned into it with my shoulder, just enough to test it. The wood didn't creak. The hinges didn't complain. The door didn't budge. It was like pushing against a wall that pretended to be a door. I tried again, harder. Nothing. That's when the quiet started to feel wrong. Not silent, focused. I went to the back door next. Same thing. The lock disengaged. The handle turned. The frame refused. I checked the basement door, even though I already knew it wouldn't help. It didn't. Windows were worse. Every one of them is locked, but not in a way I understand. No screws, no boards, no bars. Just resistance. I tried the kitchen window first, because it's old and already cracked at the corner. I picked up a chair and threw it. The chair shattered. The glass didn't. The impact made a dull sound, like hitting thick rubber. The chair slid down the pane and collapsed onto the floor in pieces. The window didn't even shake. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at my reflection, trying to find a mark, a scuff, anything that said the window had noticed me. It hadn't. That's when the thought settled in. Quiet, complete, and unarguable. This house isn't sealed. It's decided. I can move inside it. I can open drawers. I can sit. I can write. But every exit reaches the same conclusion before I do. The house already knows the answer, and it isn't interested in hearing me ask. The sun is lower now. I know because the air feels heavier, like sound has to work harder to travel. My footsteps don't echo the way they did earlier. They stop short, as if the house is taking them back before they can return to me. I've started avoiding the hallway, not because anything is there, but because the space feels longer every time I cross it. The distance between the living room and the bedroom shouldn't change, but it does. I can feel it stretching, like a held breath that won't release. I keep catching myself listening, not for my name, for anything at all. That's the worst part. Silence doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels occupied, like something is standing just out of sight, waiting to see if I'll acknowledge it by mistake. I haven't spoken out loud since this morning. My throat hurts anyway. Dry, tight, like it's expecting to be used. I don't know if staying quiet still counts as not answering. I don't know if listening counts as a reply. I only know that the light keeps pulling back, inch by inch, and the house feels less like a place and more like a posture. Something braced for impact. It's getting late, and the house has stopped pretending it's just a house. Entry 6. The thought of fire barely finished forming before it answered me. I was standing in the kitchen, staring at the stove, thinking about how easily things catch when there's enough heat and nowhere for the smoke to go. That's when the air in front of me split. It didn't arrive. It overlapped. Something large phased into the space my body already occupied, and the contact was immediate and surgical. A burning line tore across my forearm. White hot, precise, like a blade dragged straight through me and pulled away before I could react. There was no bleeding. The pain sealed itself shut as fast as it opened. Flesh cauterized the moment it parted. The smell hit me a second later. Sharp, metallic, cooked. I screamed. Another pass. Across my shoulder, my ribs, my side. Each strike identical, clean, controlled. Not deep enough to end me, but deep enough to make sure I felt every inch of it. It moved through me instead of at me, phasing in and out, never fully solid. I couldn't track its edges, only its mass. It was enormous, taller than the doorway, wider than my frame, its presence crushing the air down until my chest struggled to expand. It wasn't frantic, it wasn't angry, it was methodical. Each cut landed with the same distance between them, the same pressure, the same intent. I understood then that if it wanted me gone, it wouldn't be doing this. These weren't killing wounds. They were instruction. I stumbled backward, vision blurring, hands useless against the heat blooming across my skin. I turned toward the living room, toward open space, toward anything that wasn't this. That's when it stopped cutting. The next impact wasn't sharp. It was heavy. A blow landed square in my chest with enough force to fold me inward, to rip the breath straight out of my lungs. It wasn't the kind of hit meant to shatter bones. It was the kind that overwhelms. Weight meeting flesh. Power against something smaller that has nowhere to go. The floor dropped away. I remember the edge of the threshold catching my heel. Then nothing but momentum. I hit the living room floor hard enough to rattle my skull, my body skidding, limbs useless, pain blooming everywhere at once. I couldn't get air. My vision tunneled. For a moment, I honestly thought I was going to vomit or pass out, or both. When I finally managed to look up, it was gone. The kitchen behind me was empty, the light still on. The room exactly the same as it had always been. No distortion, no heat shimmer, no sign that something the size of a man had just occupied the same space as me. The marks on my skin burned fiercely, raised and angry, already closing over themselves. No blood, no proof that would make sense to anyone else. I lay there shaking, every muscle locked, understanding something with absolute clarity. I wasn't overpowered because I fought back wrong. I was overpowered because I never had a chance. The house didn't care about fire. It cared about obedience. And whatever enforced that didn't need to stay visible to be real.
Entry 7. I stayed on the couch, not because it was comfortable, because my body hadn't finished deciding whether it trusted itself to stand again. The burns had dulled into a deep, constant ache. Every time I moved, they reminded me exactly where I was hit and how easily it happened. My breathing finally evened out, but my hands wouldn't stop shaking. I folded them together to hide it from myself. The living room felt smaller now, not tighter, emptier, like the space had learned what it could get away with. I tried to think about leaving, about solutions, about angles I hadn't tested yet. Fire was gone as an option. Strength was gone. Speed was gone. I was left with planning, and even that felt thin. That's when I heard her. My grandmother's voice came from the hallway, not loud, not sudden, just present. "Steve?" It landed gently, exactly the way she used to say my name when she didn't want to startle me, The same warmth, the same pacing, even the same slight softness at the end, like she was smiling. I didn't answer. I stared straight ahead, eyes fixed on the far wall, heart hammering hard enough that I thought it might give me away. "Steve," she said again, "you don't have to be afraid." The words tightened something in my chest. "I know you're hurt," she continued, calm and steady. "You can't stay in there like that. Come down the hall. I can help you." I swallowed. My throat burned. I told myself it wasn't her, that it couldn't be, that this was exactly what I'd been warned about. Her voice sighed softly, the sound thick with concern. "I don't like hearing you breathe like that," she said. "You always did that when you were scared, even when you were little." That detail almost broke me. "I'm right here," she went on. "You're so close. Just come a little farther. You don't have to figure this out alone." I squeezed my eyes shut. Silence stretched between us, heavy and expectant. Then her tone shifted, just slightly. "You can't get out on your own," she said. "You've already tried." I felt my resolve wobble. "This is the only way," she added gently. "You know that, don't you? You're tired. You're hurt. You're not thinking clearly. Let me help you." For a moment, just a moment, I wondered if the rule had been wrong or incomplete. If maybe this was what she'd meant all along, that the danger wasn't in listening, but in refusing help when it finally came. That's when her voice changed. Not louder, not harsher, just colder. "You were never very good at handling things on your own," she said. "You always froze when it mattered." My stomach twisted. "I tried to teach you," she continued, still calm. "But you never listened. You just sat there and hoped someone else would fix it for you." That wasn't her. She knew it wasn't. "And look at you now," the voice said softly. "Curled up, waiting. You always did that, even as a child. You made everything harder by being weak." My chest burned worse than the cuts. "You think you're being brave," she said, "but you're just afraid to move, afraid to choose, afraid to be responsible for what happens next." I felt something inside me collapse. "That's why you're still here," she finished, "because deep down, you know this is all you deserve." The hallway went quiet. No footsteps, no movement. Just the sound of my breathing, ragged and uneven. I didn't answer. I didn't move. When I finally stood, my legs nearly gave out. I crossed the living room slowly, deliberately, and sat back down on the couch, exactly where I'd been before. I folded my hands again. The house didn't react. It didn't need to. I stayed there, staring ahead, feeling smaller than I had any right to feel, knowing with sick certainty that whatever was speaking now understood me better than I ever wanted to be understood, and that it would try again. Entry 8. The worst part wasn't what it said, it was what happened after. Nothing. No footsteps in the hall, no voice, no pressure in the air. The house didn't punish me for staying on the couch, it accepted it. I waited for the pain to spike again, for the burns to flare, for something to react to my fear. But the ache in my body continued to fade at a steady, almost considerate pace. My breathing slowed. My hands stopped shaking. That scared me more than the cuts. I realized I was being allowed to recover. I stayed still for a long time, afraid that moving would undo whatever fragile truce I'd stumbled into. The couch felt right, not comfortable, correct, like this was where I was meant to be now. I tried standing once. The room didn't change, but I did. The moment my weight shifted off the couch, my chest tightened. Not pain, pressure. A warning without words. The kind you feel when you've already made a mistake and your body knows it before your mind catches up. I sat back down immediately, the pressure released. I didn't need to be told anything. The house had already explained. I'm not trapped in here. I'm confined to here. I started to notice things after that. The clock on the wall still works, but I don't remember checking it. Time passes, but only when I'm not paying attention. When I focus too hard, it feels like everything slows down out of spite. The hallway hasn't spoken again. That's what frightens me. I keep catching myself listening for my grandmother's voice, not because I want to hear it, but because the silence feels like it's waiting for me to slip, like it's withholding something until I forget myself. I tested my voice earlier. Just a whisper. Not my name, not a question, just sound. My throat closed halfway through it, like something gently but firmly pressed 2 fingers against my neck from the inside. The sound came out wrong, thin, strained, embarrassed. I stopped. That seemed to please the house. I don't know how I know that, I just do. The living room feels more settled now, less hollow, like it's adjusted to me being here, the way furniture does after you sit in the same spot long enough. I'm starting to understand something I don't want to understand. The house doesn't need to chase me. It doesn't need to threaten me. It just needs me to stay. And the longer I do, the harder it becomes to imagine standing up for any reason that matters. I'm writing this from the couch. I don't remember deciding to.
Entry 9. I don't think I stood up again. I'm not sure when my legs stopped mattering. The couch feels different now. Not softer, closer. Like it's learned the exact shape of me and decided to keep it. When I try to shift, there's resistance, not pressure, just reluctance. As if moving would require more effort than staying ever will. That's the worst part. Staying feels good. The ache is gone. The burns don't hurt anymore. My breathing is slow, deep, unchallenged. There's a warmth under my back that doesn't feel like fabric or cushioning. It feels like belonging. I know that should scare me. It did at first. But the fear keeps slipping away the longer I stay still. Every thought that tries to stand up straight feels heavy, unnecessary. The couch supports them too, gently encouraging them to lie down. I can feel it now, along my spine, my shoulders, my arms. Not pulling, not gripping, just accepting. Like I was always meant to end here, and this is the part where my body finally stops arguing. I don't want to be part of the house, I think. Or maybe I don't want to want that. It's hard to tell which thoughts are mine anymore. The fear feels distant. The relief feels immediate, warm, convincing. I understand now how people disappear without panic, how something can be wrong and still feel like the right answer. I don't know how long I've been writing this. My hands are slower. The words feel like they're being finished for me, or through me. I do know one thing that's still sharp enough to hold on to. If you're reading this, it already has permission, and I'm already dead. Or I'm part of the house. I'm not sure there's a difference anymore. If this entry reached you, don't ignore it. There are more coming. Like, share and subscribe so you know when the next one finds you. And remember, if you hear your name, don't answer.